Attack! Kill them all! A roaring wave of bandits charged forward, blades raised high as they rushed toward the warden guards. Shit! Who attacked first? Doesn't matter, we just need to win now that the fight's broken out. Steel clashed as both sides collided violently. They're mere bandits untrained in martial arts. A warden fighter surged forward, striking one of the attackers with a powerful blow. Stay in formation and fight together. But the battlefield quickly dissolved into chaos. Men shouted and screamed as blades flashed everywhere. Ha! Rah! The air filled with the sounds of metal striking metal. The truth is, most of them are wardens with barely any experience. If we overwhelm them with numbers, this will end quickly. Push forward! Kill them quickly! The bandits rushed again, weapons swinging wildly. Axes and swords crashed into shields and armor. Cries of pain echoed through the forest. Ah! Ugh! Suddenly, ah! A man screamed as arrows rained down from above. Ch! All because of those half-baked wardens. High above the battlefield, a lone figure stood calmly. A young archer with long dark hair watched everything from a wooden platform. Behind him, riders on horseback approached. Elsewhere, two bandits talked while gripping their weapons. Hey, looks like the negotiation between young Bo and our boss is going well. So how about we also introduce ourselves? One of them stepped forward with a grin. Don't come any closer. The bandit laughed loudly. I'm Tiger's Mouth Den's Hong Rang. Then he pointed forward. Crimson Wolf, Hong Rang. Grr! But suddenly, I said don't come any closer. A blade flashed. Ah! Before the bandit could react, a figure leapt down with incredible speed. Stand back, boy. You'll lose your life if you get involved. Another man warned nervously. Those men don't usually kill instantly, so stay still. The attacker only smirked. In the next moment, arrows began raining down across the battlefield. From above, the lone archer stood tall, bow drawn with deadly precision. His arrows struck one enemy after another as chaos erupted below. Then, suddenly, the archer's eyes sharpened. He sensed something. Slowly, he turned his head. Someone had just entered the battlefield.
An arrow sliced through the battlefield. Ah! One of the bandits staggered as the shaft struck him, his attack stopping instantly. Before anyone could react, more arrows followed. They streaked across the sky like a sudden storm. Piff, piff, piff! Bandits cried out as the arrows landed among them, breaking their formation. Gah! Ugh! The fighters looked around in confusion. What? Who's shooting? A furious shout echoed across the battlefield. But before anyone could find the source, a man charged forward. Your opponent is me. His blade flashed. Steel clashed in a single explosive moment. The bandit leader was forced back as the strike landed with overwhelming force. Crack! The surrounding bandits froze in shock. Their confidence shattered instantly. Run! Tactical retreat! Go back! Within moments, the remaining bandits fled into the forest, abandoning the fight. Silence slowly returned. The ground was littered with fallen weapons and injured fighters. The swordsman stood calmly at the center of the battlefield, surveying the aftermath. Oh, what a mess. One of his men approached with a report. 11 dead and 17 wounded, sir. The captain nodded. We'll leave as soon as we deal with the bodies. Yes, Captain. Around them, the wardens began organizing the area. Some prepared the horses, others brought out wheelbarrows for the injured. Those who can't ride anymore, get on the carts. The captain then turned toward the young archer. That was some impressive archery. You likely saved many of our lives. The young man met his gaze calmly. What might be your name? The archer bowed slightly. So Moon, 5th warden. The captain studied him carefully. For someone of your skill, working as a handyman seems like a waste. The young man replied simply, I've enjoyed hunting since I was a child, so I'm just a little skilled with the bow. Soon after, the convoy resumed its journey. Horses pulled carts along the forest road, while wardens escorted the prisoners. The long column slowly made its way towards their destination. Eventually, a large compound appeared ahead. Tall walls surrounded the building and guards stood watch at the gate. The sign above the entrance read, Sign Yachwa Bank. Inside the courtyard, prisoners were already lined up on their knees while guards monitored them carefully. The battle had ended, but for those involved, this was only the beginning of a much larger story. Steam drifted through the small kitchen as the cooks worked beside boiling pots. One of them sighed, waving a fan in front of his face. Damn, brewing medicine for the past few days has made everything taste bitter. Another cook nodded tiredly. There's not much we can do until the wounded wardens recover. Outside, the street was quiet. We should at least check out the Shaolin Temple if we've come all this way. The older cook immediately shook his head. Fool, do you think the captain would just let you go off sightseeing? He let out a small sigh. Goodness me. Then a voice spoke from behind them. Excuse me? The cooks turned. Standing there was the young archer. He casually tied his long hair behind his head, his calm gaze resting on them. Is the Shaolin Temple near here? One of the cooks pointed toward the mountains. See that? Past that mountain is Song Mountain. That's where the Shaolin Temple is. The young man looked toward the distant peaks. How far is it from here? The cook scratched his head. About 50 miles, probably. Later, inside a quiet room, the young archer stood before the captain. The Shaolin Temple? Why? There's something I must do there. He bowed respectfully. I'll return quickly, so please allow me to go. The captain calmly lifted his teacup and took a sip. We'll be staying here until all the wardens have recovered, so feel free to go. The young man bowed again. Thank you very much, warden sir. Soon after, he departed alone. The forest welcomed him with cool air and rustling leaves. A deer suddenly dashed through the trees. The young man moved as quickly, running silently between the trunks as he chased it. In a clearing nearby, a group of children were playing. Hi-ya! Take my 100 steps diving fist! One of the boys struck dramatically at a fallen tree. Another shouted proudly, Gah! Fine! Then I'll use the diving finger snap! Guys, our hot formation! The children jumped and spun in exaggerated martial poses, laughing as they mimicked legendary techniques. Watching from above a rock nearby, the young archer smiled faintly. Looks like even the children play with Shaolin martial arts here in Mount Song. The journey to the Shaolin Temple had begun. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, the great gates of Shaolin Temple stood proudly beneath the orange sky. The young archer stopped before the entrance and looked up at the ancient structure. So, this is the holy land of the millennium-old Buddhist martial arts, the Shaolin Temple. Stepping inside the courtyard, he was quickly stopped by 2 monks. Amitabha, please stop there, sir. One monk bowed politely. It is already past the time for evening service. Please come again tomorrow. The young man hesitated. Actually, I'm not here to attend this service. Sweat formed on his face as he thought to himself. Damn, what am I supposed to say? I need to return the Tome of Heart Sutra. He turned back to the monk. Could I see the abbot here? The monk looked at him carefully. What is your purpose for seeing the patriarch? The young man tried to answer calmly. Well, I want to greet him. But the monk cut him off. The patriarch is not someone anyone can simply request to see. The young man took a slow breath and spoke honestly. My name is Ulji Somun, and I'm here about the Tome of Heart Sutra. The monks exchanged confused looks. Mue, do you know what the Tome of Heart Sutra is? The other monk blinked. I'm not sure. I know the Heart Sutra, but I've never heard of a tome. Soon, the young man was brought to a senior monk wearing red robes. The elder greeted him calmly. I am Yangak, the one in charge of receiving guests. He looked at the young visitor with interest. I heard you know something about the disappearance of the Tome of Heart Sutra? The young man bowed respectfully. Yes, that is correct. For a moment, the old monk froze. Then his eyes widened with astonishment. Oh, by the grace of Buddha! What great fortune! To finally discover someone who knows about the Tome of Heart Sutra that was stolen more than a century ago. The elder monk immediately turned to the others. Mue, inform the patriarch at once. Yes. As the monks hurried away, the young archer felt his heart race. Stolen? Grandfather said he only borrowed it from the Shaolin Temple. Of course they would claim it was stolen. They wouldn't simply admit giving away their sect's greatest scripture. The elder monk gestured politely. Please, let us go see the patriarch together, sir. With that, they began walking deeper into the vast temple grounds as evening settled over Shaolin.
As evening settled over the mountains, the inner courtyard of the Shaolin Temple grew quiet. Inside a grand hall, several senior monks gathered around a long table. At the center sat the temple's leader. I am Yango, the one in charge of this temple. The elderly monk folded his hands peacefully. I heard you have information about the disappearance of the Tome of Heart Sutra. Across from him sat the young traveler, Ulji So-moon, holding a cup of tea. But inside his mind, panic brewed. If they knew we actually had it, they might kill me for stealing it, and I can't even run away from a place like this. A voice pulled him from his thoughts. Sir? The young man blinked and straightened. Huh? Yes, I do. The elder monk's face suddenly lit up with excitement. Oh, we've been searching for it for so long, finally. Another monk gasped. This must be the work of Buddha. The elder leaned forward eagerly. So, where is the tome of Heart Sutra? Right. So-moon stood up. The room fell silent as every monk watched him. Then he carefully reached into his clothes and placed a red cloth bundle onto the table. The cloth loosened, and the ancient book appeared. For a moment, the room froze. Amitabha! Amitabha! The monks trembled with emotion as they carefully lifted the book. Wow! Wow! When the cover was revealed, the title was clear, The Tome of Heart Sutra. The monks immediately bowed toward it. Amitabha! Amitabha! Emotion filled the hall. One of the senior monks turned towards So-moon with deep gratitude. Amitabha, thank you, sir. This treasure was stolen by a sinner more than 50 years ago. We thought we would never see it again. He bowed deeply. But I do not know what to say, seeing that you've brought it back to us. So-moon simply bowed his head. Please, I only found it by chance. The monk tilted his head curiously. By chance? So-moon calmly continued his explanation. I'm working as a handyman in the 1,000-mile escort agency. A few days ago, I got lost in the forest. There, I found a wooden box. When I opened it, I found this book along with a note saying it belonged to the Shaolin Temple, so I came here right away. The monks exchanged amazed glances. What they had believed lost forever had suddenly returned.
The monks stared at the ancient book with wide eyes. Wow, incredible! One of them suddenly asked the young man, Did you say you worked for the 1,000-mile escort agency? Ulji So-moon nodded calmly. Yes, I work there as a handyman. The monks exchanged surprised glances. Amitabha, what a coincidence. The leader of that escort agency is a disciple of the Shaolin Temple. Another monk smiled as he remembered. That's right, his name is Jang-won Sam. It was Elder One who taught him. He was a very talented boy. Hearing this, So-moon simply bowed politely. I'm glad that the tome has returned to its rightful owner. I shall take my leave now. But the monks immediately raised their hands in protest. Oh no, it would be a great shame for us to let you go without returning your kindness. Please, stay. What are you doing? We must repay our debt at once. So-moon waved his hands awkwardly. No, it's all right. I'll just... Suddenly, the doors burst open. The Tome of Heart Sutra has been returned? A monk rushed into the hall, breathless. Yes, Elder. The room instantly filled with respect as the monks bowed. Our greetings to you, Elder. So-moon glanced at the old man entering the hall. Judging by everyone's reactions, I guess that monk is the elder. The elder approached slowly. Was it that young man who brought the tome? Yes, he found it in the forest. The elder stepped closer to So-moon and examined him carefully. Then his eyes widened. He's an expert of awakened realm chi. A quiet murmur spread through the room, but the elder suddenly smiled warmly. Ha ha, the name is Senjai. Amitabha. He folded his hands gently. I must have a word with our guest, so we will go to the sutra depository. Then he turned to another monk. Also, call Mumu. Huh? Why do you need him? He's stagnated in his progress recently. The monk nodded. Ah, I see. I shall call him. Soon after, the elder and So-moon walked together across the temple grounds under the fading sunlight. Thank you for returning the Tome of Heart Sutra. So-moon scratched his head awkwardly. Huh? Oh, yes. I just found it by chance. The elder chuckled softly. Ha ha, you are a good liar. Huh? Liar? As the elder and the young man walked through the temple courtyard, the elder suddenly spoke again. Was it Jew or Bo? The question caught the young man off guard. His eyes widened. What do you mean? The elder glanced back sharply. Are you going to keep playing dumb? The young man's thoughts raced. He already knows everything. After a moment, he answered honestly. It was Bo. The elder looked surprised for a second. Huh, is that really true? Then he nodded slowly. Well, considering his power, that makes sense.
After a short pause, the elder asked another question. What is your relationship with him? The young man replied calmly, He is my grandfather. The elder's eyes widened slightly as they continued walking through the temple grounds. He was truly incredible. All my attacks he avoided with just a movement technique. The elder remembered the encounter vividly. I managed to land one attack using the consecutive 9 orders and the 100 steps divine fist, but I believe he allowed himself to be hit on purpose. The old monk looked toward the sunset sky. Before he left, he said he would return the Tome of Heart Sutra someday. The young man thought quietly. He must be talking about wolf step. Grandfather once said the 9 consecutive orders was a movement technique comparable to it. The elder glanced at him again. Have you mastered the Heart Sutra? The young man shook his head. It's no longer of use to me, so I came to return it. The elder smiled with satisfaction. I see, truly a great fortune for the Murim world. At that moment, a monk approached and bowed respectfully. Master, I have arrived. This way, Mumu. The monk turned and walked ahead to guide them. Then the elder quietly said to the young man, There is likely no one other than the patriarchs who can match this boy. The young man looked at the monk called Mumu. The monk stood straight and calm, hands together in greeting. The elder finished his introduction. He is the next generation's Shaolin guardian deity.
The elder's words about the Shaolin guardian deity led into an old legend, one known throughout the Murim world. There were 2 great legends connected to the title of guardian deity in Shaolin's history. The first was the 108 Nahan army. This army was formed by the monks of Shaolin, 108 elite warriors trained to fight as one. Their discipline and unity made them legendary. In countless battles across Murim, they had never once been defeated. 4 centuries ago, when the infamous great evil king known as the Butcher Demon formed the Blood Clan, chaos spread across the martial world. No sect or alliance could stop his advance. Yet, when he faced the 108 Nahan army, even he was powerless. Despite his monstrous strength, he couldn't even lay a hand on them. 3 centuries later, another terrifying figure arose, a demonic warrior named Jiang Nan, said to be the strongest fighter of the Dark Path in history, conquered clan after clan. His strength was unmatched, but even he fell before the united power of the 108 Nahan army. Their legend grew even greater. About 40 years ago, another infamous villain appeared, a blood priest who took pride in being the Lord of Death. After defeating masters of the 9 schools and even slaying the fearsome thunder god in Yulsa, he wandered across Jianghu seeking stronger opponents. Declaring himself the absolute lord of evil, he challenged every martial expert he could find. After 477 battles, he earned the title of one of the 6 demons of the Dark Path, Jiang Peng of the Celestial Destruction Blade. The people of the Dark Path gathered under him and formed the Paichan, the peak power of the Dark Murim. Then, one day, he rode straight to Shaolin Temple. Facing the legendary 108 Nahan army, he fought alone, and unbelievably, he defeated them all. As monks lay scattered across the battlefield, the demonic swordsman laughed arrogantly. Ha ha ha, they're nothing special. Behind him, his followers praised him loudly. Praise be to the Celestial Destruction Blade. Watching Shaolin fall, the gathered warriors of Murim whispered in disbelief. My goodness, the final stronghold of the Murim world has fallen. Standing calmly amidst the smoke and defeated monks, Jiang Peng smirked. Mind if I take over Jiang Wan?
As the defeated Shaolin monks watched helplessly, one elder stepped forward and bowed. Sir, allow me to show you the true strength of Shaolin. The demonic swordsman frowned slightly. You mean there's something greater than the 108 Nahan army? Without answering, the elder led him deeper into the temple. Inside the quiet courtyard stood a single young monk holding a staff, calm and unmoving. The elder lowered his head respectfully. My greatest apologies. With the 108 Nahan army defeated, you are the only one left who can protect Shaolin. He then continued solemnly. As punishment for my failure, I will relinquish my role as patriarch and remain silent for 10 years. The young monk shook his head slightly. No need for such things. This outcome was inevitable. Then his sharp gaze turned toward the invading warrior. You are very impressive. You remind me of a certain person I visited 50 years ago. The demonic swordsman narrowed his eyes. I don't know who you are, but don't get in my way. The young monk smiled faintly. Ha! Since you're so confident, you must be quite capable. Then he raised his staff. I will attack 3 times. Try to dodge them. The arrogance of the statement made the swordsman furious. I won't tolerate any more jokes. Just as he finished shouting, thud. Something struck him. His eyes widened in shock. He looked down slowly. The monk's staff was already pressed against him.
The young monk calmly pulled his staff back. Caught off guard. I'll go again. Try to really avoid it this time. The demonic swordsman narrowed his eyes, red energy gathering around his hand. He's an absolute expert.
The monk moved. In an instant, the courtyard filled with the sound of cracking air as dozens of staff strikes seemed to appear at once. The swordsman dashed forward, his cloak whipping behind him as he swung his blade to intercept the attacks. But the strikes kept coming, faster, sharper, surrounding him from every direction. Staff shadows rained down like a storm. Damn! Wooden blows exploded against his guard, forcing him backward. The monk spun his staff again, launching a barrage so dense it looked like a wall of weapons closing in. The swordsman tried to cut through them, but suddenly the monk appeared above him. Thud! The staff stopped just inches from his throat. For a moment, the swordsman froze. If he truly intended to kill, I'd already be dead. The monk landed lightly on the ground. Now, one more. He lifted the staff again, energy flowing quietly around him, but the swordsman raised his hand. That's enough. He wiped the sweat from his face, breathing slowly. You've made me realize how vast this world really is. He gave a bitter smile. Looks like I was only a big frog in a small pond. Then he looked at the monk. May I ask what martial art that was? The monk answered calmly. It was Dharma's triple blade, a secret technique passed down only to the Shaolin guardian deities. The swordsman nodded slowly. Dharma's triple blade. Then he made a quiet vow. One day I will return with a blade that can defeat it. And from that moment, the existence of the Shaolin guardian deities became known throughout Murim, and another legend was born. Back in the present, the elder sighed softly. I've waited 60 years for this. Now it's time to pass it on. But he looked worried. This boy is a problem. He's too confident in himself. I'm actually very worried about him. The elder turned toward the young traveler. I'd like you to break his pride. What do you say? The traveler immediately waved his hands in panic. No, that's impossible. I'm just a little accomplished, that's all. The monk called Mumu stood silently nearby, staring at him with a cold, unimpressed expression. The old elder looked toward the sunset sky and spoke calmly. Shaolin's guardian deities are passed down from generation to generation, and only the leaders know their true identity. Then he turned to the young traveler. Teach Mumu a lesson in battle, will you? The request stunned him. What do you mean? I'm afraid I'm not capable of that. The elder stroked his beard thoughtfully. Is that so? Then I suppose it cannot be helped. But he suddenly added something that made the young man freeze. By the way, the leader and the elders probably don't know that your grandfather was the one who stole the tome of Heart Sutra. Ill. Cold sweat ran down the young man's face. Shit, I'm screwed. All the old men here are equally sly and crooked. Meanwhile, Mumu watched quietly. How powerful is this man? He speaks as if he'll lose no matter what. Mumu stepped forward and bowed slightly to the elder. If I may speak, I completely understand why you are worried. However, I do not believe I am someone who would lose to our guest. Then he turned toward the young traveler. Please do not make us fight. But the elder raised a finger. Mumu, you just have to follow my commands. Then he looked at the traveler again. Well, will you do it? The young man sighed. Or I'll go find the leader. The threat was clear. After a moment of silence, he finally gave in. Fine, I will. Soon the two stood facing each other in the training courtyard. Mumu thought calmly, I'll end this immediately. The traveler sighed and sighed. I'll let him hit me and end this quickly. The elder stepped back, watching silently. Mumu raised his staff and began to move. Golden energy surged around him as his body shifted into a stance. Suddenly, countless Buddha palm images formed around him like a swirling storm of hands, circling his staff and radiating power. The air trembled. The attack was about to begin.
Mumu's golden aura surged as he unleashed his technique. 1,000 palms! Hundreds of glowing palm strikes rained down on the young traveler from every direction. The air roared as the barrage struck his body repeatedly, forcing him back. The final blow slammed into him and sent him flying straight through a stone wall. Boom! Bricks shattered as he crashed through them and landed amid the rubble. Mumu lowered his hands slightly, surprised. Crap. I put in a bit too much strength. I thought he was an expert. From the broken wall, the young traveler slowly stood up, dust and debris falling from his clothes. Ugh! Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth as he wiped it away. He glared toward Mumu. You damned monk! I was gonna let you hit me, but you went that hard? He cracked his neck and smirked slightly.
Fine, let's have a proper battle. A dark red aura erupted around him, swirling like a storm as he released his true power. Across the courtyard, Mumu narrowed his eyes. He feels different from earlier. Golden energy flared around the monk as he raised his guard. Here I come! He dashed forward and struck with a powerful palm, but in that instant the traveler vanished. A flash of red streaked past Mumu, and suddenly a fist drove straight into his abdomen. Thud! Gah! Mumu staggered backward, coughing. I've never seen such speed. Behind him, the elder shouted angrily, "What did I say? I told you he'd break your pride." But Mumu clenched his fists. I'm not done yet. Golden chi surged even stronger around him as he shifted into a firm stance. The elder watched and nodded. Indestructible defensive stance. Good choice. Mumu planted his feet, forming an immovable defense as golden energy hardened around his body like armor. At that moment, the traveler launched himself forward again with explosive speed. Ha! He rained down a storm of punches. Bam, bam, bam! Each strike crashed against Mumu's guarded stance as the two clashed violently in the center of the courtyard, their fists colliding again and again in a blur of speed and power.
As the clash intensified, the elder calmly analyzed the fight from the sidelines. There we go, 12 enlightenment. The golden dragon blocks his fists with the seizing palm. Right on cue, Mumu caught the traveler's attacking hand, twisting his body to control the strike. The traveler's eyes widened in surprise. Gih! The elder shouted his next instruction. Good, strike back with the unparalleled kick. Mumu immediately pivoted and launched a powerful kick, lightning-like energy crackling around his fingers as he prepared another move. And press the attack with the divine finger snap. The attack exploded forward in a burst of force, creating a shockwave that tore across the ground. The traveler flipped and dodged through the blasts. Whoa! Whip! Ooh! He landed lightly and smirked. Heh, I've got something up my sleeve, too. In one swift motion, he reached behind his back and pulled out a bow, gripping it firmly. This is my specialty. Energy gathered around his fingers as he drew the bowstring back. Mumu's eyes widened. Gee! A bright blue arrow of energy formed and shot forward at incredible speed. Ha! The blast slammed toward Mumu, forcing him to leap and slide aside to avoid the direct hit. Still, the sheer power of the attack shocked him. What power! I don't possess an indestructible body, so I won't be able to endure that. The traveler continued firing, now unleashing multiple red energy arrows that streaked across the courtyard like lasers. They struck the ground around Mumu in rapid succession, blasting the floor apart and forcing him to dodge desperately as explosions erupted around him. Seeing the chaos escalating, the elder finally stepped forward and shouted, "Enough! The battle is over!" The courtyard fell silent. The traveler slowly lowered his bow, red energy fading from his hands. Mumu stood amid the smoke and rubble, breathing heavily as dust drifted through the air. The elder approached calmly. Have you realized how vast this world is? Consider this a lesson and continue to train. Mumu lowered his head slightly, absorbing the words. But then he looked up with determination. Great Master, there is still a technique I have not used. May I use that? Across the courtyard, the traveler looked at him sharply. Gee! The fight, it seemed, was not truly over yet.
The old master narrows his eyes and looks at the young swordsman. You mean Dharma's triple blade? The younger monk beside him immediately answers, correct, but the old master quickly shakes his head. No, you can't handle it. He pauses, studying the young man carefully. And that most likely wasn't our guest's full strength, isn't that right? The long-haired swordsman calmly steps forward. I have a sword style with 3 unities. The old master sighs lightly. Just as I expected. Then he mutters under his breath. It seems Muju refuses to admit his loss. So could you show us a bit of that technique? He raises his voice again. It's this old man's request. The swordsman nods slightly. May I borrow your cane? The old master hands over the wooden cane. The swordsman lifts it slowly into the air. Then he explains, the first step of this sword style has a very heavy bloodlust, so it's unlike this temple life. A short pause. I will begin with the second step. The old master nods. No problem. The swordsman suddenly shifts his stance. His body twists. His leg lifts high.
Then, in the next instant, he launches into the air. His robe whips violently in the wind as he spins. The wooden cane becomes like a blade. He flips midair. The strike descends. Energy explodes outward. Blue shockwaves burst from the ground as the attack lands. The old master gasps loudly. Whoa! The monk beside him is speechless. The swordsman gently plants the cane into the ground. That is all. The old master rushes forward with shaking hands. What is the name of that technique? The swordsman calmly answers. It is the second step of the peerless triple univy blade, the loveless blade. The old master's eyes widen with amazement. Loveless blade. Brilliant! I never thought I'd see such a magnificent technique in my life. He bursts into laughter. Ha!
The old master stares in amazement. Great master, that seemed like a very soft technique to me. What did you see that I did not? The younger monk wipes the sweat from his face. That means you still have a very long way to go. He gulps nervously. I guarantee that no martial art could overcome it. He pauses, then asks cautiously, then what about the Dharma triple blade? The old master strokes his beard and thinks for a moment. Perhaps the third step of the Dharma triple blade might stand a chance at blocking it. Then his eyes narrow, but it would be impossible to defeat it. The monk's eyes widened in shock. Does that mean our guest is stronger than you, great master? The old man burst into laughter. Ha ha, did you not hear what I said? Our guest's strength is superior to mine. The monk freezes. Impossible. The old master then looks toward the swordsman. Did you say you were a warden of an escort agency? The swordsman nods calmly. A handyman. The old master laughs loudly again. Ha 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 ha, that is one powerful handyman. The swordsman can only scratch his head awkwardly. Hee 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 hee. Night falls over the temple. A full moon rises above the Shaolin gate. The swordsman stands before the two monks and bows respectfully. It was a pleasure to meet you. The old master and the monk return the gesture. I will never forget your teachings today. Amitabha. The swordsman bows once more. Then I shall take my leave. Narrator, there are no flowers for warriors, only the quiet road beneath the moon. Mist drifts through the forest as the night deepens. Somewhere in the dark woods, 3 figures stumble through the trees. One man struggles to support an injured companion. Huff, huff. Sir, please hold on a little longer. The wounded man coughs heavily. I've caused you all a lot of trouble. Another guard walks beside them with his hand on his sword. If only we weren't fooled by the lies and sent the Pachen guards elsewhere. Their footsteps fade deeper into the misty forest, and danger quietly follows.
The wounded lord exhales a cloud of cold breath into the night. It doesn't seem like we'll escape from them. The guard supporting him tightens his grip. Do not lose hope, my lord. A little more, and we'll reach the Shaolin temple. Another warrior walks ahead, scanning the dark forest. Even they wouldn't dare do anything with Shaolin on our side. The injured lord shakes his head weakly. My lord, that is most soon. Please, do not lose hope. The lord forces a bitter smile. I always planned to visit Mount Song again, but I didn't think I'd return in a state like this. He lets out a tired laugh. Suddenly, flutter. A shadow drops from the trees. The guards freeze. A man slowly steps out of the mist, blocking their path. He crosses his arms and smiles coldly. About time. Gave up, friend? The guard with the straw hat grits his teeth. Blood flow blade. Mangasi. How could you betray the Lord's grace like this? The injured lord lowers his head silently. The red-haired man only chuckles. There is nothing for me to say, my lord. I shall escort you without pain. He raises his hand slightly. A quiet signal. From the darkness, figures begin dropping from the trees. One after another, masked assassins surround the clearing. Steel glints through the fog. The trap has already closed. The red-haired traitor stands calmly at the center, while the guards and their wounded lords stand trapped. The straw hat warrior shouts furiously. Blood Slasher Core, you are also betraying us? The red-haired man smirks. Doko Juke, I suggest you give up and hand over the lord to us. But the straw hat warrior steps forward instead. His sword flashes from its sheath. Silence! The first person who dares to come a step closer will be sent to hell right away. The forest goes silent, mist swirling around drawn blades. The warrior lowers his stance, eyes burning with fury. Now, which one of you wants to taste my steel?
The straw hat warrior tightens his grip on his sword. His eyes lock onto the enemies standing before them. It'll be impossible to defeat all of them, and get away in that case. He quickly makes a decision. Chun Liang, take the lord to the Shaolin temple while I hold them off. The man behind him freezes, but the wounded lord suddenly speaks. It's humiliating that we must rely on the Shaolin, but we must do everything for the lord. Go. For a moment, no one moves. Then Chun Liang clenches his teeth. If you won't, I'll come first. Suddenly, the straw hat warrior explodes forward. Tang! His blade flashes as he charges straight into the group of assassins. Chains swing through the air, swords slash from every direction, but the warrior spins through them like a storm. Steel crashes against steel. Clang, clang. Blades collide as he cuts down the attackers rushing him. The assassins swarm in from every side, yet he keeps pushing forward. He grits his teeth. I won't be able to hold them off for long. Hurry, leave. Behind him, Chun Liang bows his head deeply. I'll make sure your sacrifice will not be in vain. It has been an honor serving you, sir. With that, he lifts the wounded lord and runs into the dark forest. Their footsteps fade into the night. Meanwhile, back in the clearing, the battle rages on. Assassins are sent flying through the air as blades clash violently. In the center of it all, the red-haired traitor watches calmly. He doesn't even move. He simply stands beneath the moonlight, silently observing the chaos unfold.
Morning mist drifts quietly across the mountains near Mount Song. The forest is calm. Sunlight breaks through the trees, and somewhere deep in the woods, a young swordsman sits beside a small campfire. He looks up at a bird perched on a branch. "Hey, Ironblood, could you go catch me a rabbit?" The bird stares down at him silently. The young man suddenly laughs awkwardly. "Oh, I'm sorry. I know I was really shocked yesterday when you caught that rabbit. That's why I scolded you. Forgive me, and please catch some rabbits." The bird tilts its head, then closes its eyes as if ignoring him completely. The swordsman sighs. "Ugh," pretending like you're asleep. Whatever. He leans back against the tree. Man, now I even gotta watch out for him. Damn it. Suddenly, thud, thud, thud. Heavy footsteps crash through the forest. Two figures burst from between the trees. One man is carrying another over his shoulder. The young swordsman's eyes widen. Ill. What the heck? He's carrying a corpse. The man carrying the body freezes for a moment, but then he quickly turns away and keeps walking. Cold breath escapes his mouth as he speaks. "Young man, there is danger approaching. Leave at once." The swordsman blinks in confusion. "Huh? Danger?" The man continues moving through the forest. "The men following us will kill you." The young man frowns. "Psh, no way. Why would they kill an innocent bystander?" The answer man answers without turning back. "No matter who you are, they will kill anyone who has seen them." At that moment, shadows drop from the trees. Assassins land silently around them, and from above, a familiar voice laughs loudly. "Ha ha ha!" The red-haired traitor descends from the air. His cloak billows as he lands. "Chun Lang, let us put an end to this now." Chun Lang grits his teeth. "Gah! The Shaolin's right there." Chun Lang gently lowers the wounded lord against a tree. The man can barely stay conscious. Slowly, Chun Lang rises. His hand tightens around the hilt of his sword. He steps forward. The young swordsman watching nearby notices the shift immediately. Then Chun Lang speaks coldly. "That young man has nothing to do with us, so spare his life at least." Across the clearing, the red-haired traitor chuckles. "Hehehe, his fate has been sealed the moment he saw us." Chun Lang's eyes sharpen. "Since when did the Pachin clan kill untrained men? Do you have no pride as an established Dark Path clan?" The red-haired man smirks calmly. "This has nothing to do with pride. Simply cannot leave any witnesses." Nearby, the young swordsman scratches his head awkwardly. "Ha! They're negotiating with my life like it's theirs." He glances toward the injured man behind him. For a moment, he studies the situation silently. Then he gently lowers the unconscious lord to rest against the tree. Ahead of him, Chun Lang stands alone, surrounded by assassins, and directly across from him, the red-haired traitor steps forward. The two warriors charge. "Come!" Steel flashes. Their blades collide in midair. Clang! Shockwaves burst outward as sword meets sword. The red-haired man spins his carved blade in a flowing arc. A graceful, deadly movement. Chun Lang's eyes narrow. Dancing butterfly blade. It's beautiful, like a sword dance, but his expression hardens. Yet the blood flow blade guarantees that the target will bleed when struck. The traitor flips backward through the air, blade cutting through the wind. Both warriors land at the same time, energy swirling around their weapons. The red-haired man smirks. As expected of the Pachin Guardian's commander, blood pawn sword style. It's powerful, offensively and defensively. Chun Lang wipes blood from his cheek. "I see you live up to your reputation. Blood Cloud Blade Nangsak." The red-haired warrior chuckles. "Likewise." Behind them, the young swordsman watches quietly from the side. His eyes narrow slightly. They're both really good, especially him. He seems stronger than that monk called Muju. The forest grows tense, because this fight is only just beginning.
The red-haired warrior exhales slowly. Phew, this won't be easy. His cloak swirls as he studies his stance. If I ordered my subordinates to attack now, he would die, but we should still be able to kill him. His eyes narrow with determination. But I must deal the killing blow. Across from him, Chun Lang breathes heavily. Cold air escapes his mouth. Phoo, phoo. Then suddenly, the ground begins to spin. A violent spiral of wind tears through the clearing. The red-haired warrior freezes. What is that? Chun Lang's blade hums violently. Blood rain invincibility. A massive spiral of sword energy erupts into the sky like a raging tornado. The red-haired warrior's eyes widen. My God, he's trying to kill me at the cost of his own life. The spiral crashes forward. Blades of energy slice through the air. The red-haired warrior is thrown backward by the overwhelming force. His body tumbles across the ground, the attack ripping through the battlefield. Behind them, Chun Lang stumbles forward. His legs shake. Stumble, stumble. He collapses beside the wounded lord. My lord. Cough. Blood drips from his mouth. The young swordsman watching nearby blinks in shock. Huh? I thought he was dead. Chun Lang bows his head weakly. My lord, I apologize for not escorting you to the end. His body finally gives out. He falls to the ground. The wounded lord slowly lifts his head. Ha! So even you. His voice is calm despite the situation. My lord, it is time for you to go. I am sorry. Behind him, the red-haired traitor stands again. His blade
blade gleaming coldly. Is that right? He slowly steps forward. If that man's both of your lords, does that mean he's a traitor? The young swordsman's eyes suddenly sharpen. Ah, now I get it. That piece of shit. The red-haired warrior raises his sword high. I will make it painless. The blade begins to fall, but suddenly his eyes widen in shock. Huh? What is this bloodlust?
The red-haired traitor suddenly freezes. His eyes dart around in confusion. Where is this incredible bloodlust coming from? Something feels wrong. Instinctively, he steps back. Everyone, stand back and stay on guard. The battlefield shifts. Assassins hesitate. The air grows heavy. Then, a presence appears behind him. The traitor slowly turns. Tellys. There he is, the young swordsman, standing calmly, but surrounded by a terrifying aura. Wait, you! The swordsman's eyes turn cold. You're no man if you betray someone's trust. He raises his weapon, but not a sword, a bow. And a beast shouldn't be waving around a weapon like that, don't you think? In a single motion, he draws the string. Energy gathers at the tip like a glowing arrow. Then he releases. The projectile tears through the air. The red-haired warrior barely reacts in time. Gah! He blocks, but the force pushes him back. Get him at once! The traitor roars. Assassins rush in from every direction, but the young swordsman doesn't flinch. Instead, he leaps into the air. Yeah, let's see who's faster. Arrows rain down like streaks of light. Chains swing toward him, but he cuts through the air faster than they can react. Explosions burst across the ground. Enemies are thrown aside. Gah! One after another they fall. The young swordsman spins mid-air, firing again and again, each shot precise, each movement fluid, like a dance of death in the sky. Now, the fight has changed, because the real monster has finally stepped in.
This elite squad thought they had the upper hand. Dozens of trained fighters surround a single man, moving in perfect formation. Their leader gives the order, and instantly they attack all at once. But what happens next shocks everyone. The lone warrior doesn't panic. He doesn't even move much. Instead, he draws his hand, and arrows begin to fly, not from a bow, but from pure technique. In a split second, every attacker is struck midair. Their bodies are sent crashing into trees, the ground, completely overwhelmed before they can even react. Just like that, the entire squad is wiped out. From a distance, their commander watches in disbelief. These weren't ordinary fighters, they were elites, and yet they couldn't land a single hit. Meanwhile, the mysterious warrior lands calmly, as if nothing happened. His focus shifts immediately, not to the battle, but to a wounded man nearby. The injured figure is in critical condition. His internal energy is damaged, and without proper medicine, survival is unlikely. The warrior asks one simple question: is there any way to keep you alive? The answer? No. At least, not without outside help. So, without hesitation, the warrior makes a decision. He'll leave and find medicine. In the next moment, he vanishes. A powerful surge of energy spirals through the forest as he moves at an unimaginable speed, leaving behind only a streak of light. Even the wounded man is left stunned. He's never seen such mastery before, and wherever that warrior is going, no one will be able to follow.
At a quiet mountain temple, everything seems peaceful, until suddenly, a monk senses something. Who's there? Another turns and freezes. In the next instant, a figure appears out of nowhere. It's the same mysterious warrior. He approaches calmly, no hostility, just urgency. The monks are cautious, but he quickly explains. He needs to see the great master. This isn't an attack, it's a request. Moments later, the elder steps forward, an old man with a long beard, calm eyes, and immense presence. He welcomes the stranger, and the warrior wastes no time. He explains, he found a man on the brink of death, severe internal injuries, no time left. He needs medicine, now. The elder listens carefully, then smiles. To save a life, of course. He immediately orders a disciple, bring the celestial pellet. The reaction? Shock. Even the monks hesitate. That medicine isn't ordinary, it's priceless. But the elder doesn't waver. A life is worth more. The disciple sprints off at full speed. Moments later, the medicine is delivered. The warrior accepts it, bows his head, and, without another word, he vanishes. Again. The monks can only stare in awe. Such speed, such power, truly a master beyond the mortal world. Back in the forest, the wounded man is barely holding on, breathing heavily, vision fading. Then, a gust of wind. The warrior returns, just in time. I've brought medicine. He opens a small case. Inside, a glowing golden pill, the legendary celestial pellet. Even the injured man is stunned. Something this valuable, something this rare, was brought back just for him. The warrior says nothing more. He simply offers it, and the man, trembling, accepts it. A medicine that could mean the difference between life and death.
The mysterious warrior finally introduces himself. My name is So Moon, Olji So Moon. As the injured man lies strapped to his back, barely conscious, he asks weakly, "Are we still far from Zhangju?" So Moon answers calmly, "Yes, I think it'll take another day." But then, he suddenly complains, "That's because you're going so slow. Go faster." So Moon immediately snaps back, "Ugh, you said it hurts because it's rickety when I go too fast." The old man responds casually, "So you should walk quickly and smoothly." The stretcher creaks as they move, and So Moon, already irritated, mutters to himself, "Wow, does he think I'm his servant? I shouldn't have saved this old man." After a moment, he asks, "So, why were you betrayed by your subordinates?" The old man replies, regret in his voice, "Even the most obedient dogs will turn savage for freedom if you have them leashed up for too long. It's all my fault." So Moon processes this, then asks, "I see, so what will you do now?" The old man answers honestly, "I can't say, I'll have to think about it carefully." But So Moon clarifies, "No, what I meant to ask is whether you have anywhere to go after this." The answer? "I don't have anywhere to go either." There's a brief silence as they continue forward. Then So Moon finally says, "I'm a handyman for an escort agency, so we'll leave for each town once we reach Zhangju." The old man perks up immediately. "Oh, I see, then I suppose I could work there for a while as well." So Moon looks back confused. There's no escort agency who'll hire a wounded man. But the old man insists, "I actually have a good grasp of Zhangju's geography. I don't know of who the leaders of your escort agency is, but I'm sure they'll hire me." So Moon sighs, clearly annoyed. Take a load of this old man. Does he think the escort agency exists for his own convenience? Then he says out loud, "Escort agencies don't just hire random people." But the old man fires back instantly, "But I'm not a random person. I have you, don't I?" So Moon pauses. "Huh? You have me?" The old man explains his plan. "If you prove my identity, yes, I suppose you could tell them I'm your distant relative." That's it. So Moon's patience breaks. He's totally twisted in his head. I have no intention to do that for him. And finally, with a serious tone, "I'm afraid I can't do that. I need to leave for Sichuan soon." Despite everything, he's already planning his next move.
The stretcher rattles along the dirt path as So Moon finally speaks, his tone reluctant. He admits he wants to help, but he can't get any more involved. Still, he apologizes. But the old man, lying calmly behind him, doesn't accept that. "You're going to have to help me." So Moon hesitates, trying to respond, but the old man cuts him off, reminding him of the moment they first met. Back then, he had already accepted death. He explains that he wasn't afraid, he simply wanted to die with dignity, not as someone who ran away in fear. But now, everything has changed. Because So Moon saved him, that resolve is gone. Now he's stuck in a worse position, alive but broken. His voice grows heavier as he explains the real issue. If his internal energy isn't restored, then everything he built over a lifetime disappears. All his training, all his strength, gone. And in the end, he'll be forced to live as nothing more than an ordinary old man. For someone like him, that fate is unbearable. Then comes the shift. He points out that he's never relied on anyone in his entire life, yet now, because So Moon interfered, he has no choice. So he turns it into a responsibility. "If you saved me, then you should also take responsibility for what I've lost." So Moon freezes, caught completely off guard. He tries to object, but the old man suddenly delivers a harsh ultimatum. "If you won't help me, then end my life right here." So Moon immediately rejects it, calling it absurd. But the old man continues, unfazed. "Then bring back the people who tried to kill me and let them finish it." Now So Moon is frustrated. How am I supposed to even find them again? The old man's answer is cold and unwavering. "That's the only way I can keep my honor." At that moment, So Moon realizes something. Helping this man might have been a mistake. In his mind, he groans. This is exactly why people say good deeds come with consequences. Still, he tries to reason it out. Maybe the escort agency won't accept someone like this anyway, but even he knows there's no way they'd hire a wounded man. Eventually, they arrive back in town. So Moon announces his return and explains briefly that something unexpected delayed him. The man in charge greets him calmly and asks if everything was handled. So Moon confirms it's done. Then, the man's eyes shift to the stretcher. He notices the injured figure and asks, "Who's that?" So Moon pauses, because now he has to explain the one thing he was trying to avoid all along.
So Moon hesitates for a split second, then gives in. He introduces the old man as a distant relative, someone like a grandfather figure. The old man immediately plays along, smiling casually. He claims he lives near Zhangzhou and had only come out to visit, but on the way back he had a little accident and got injured. So Moon adds a quick explanation, something about slipping near a cliff. The manager listens, surprised, but before he can question further, So Moon cuts it short. He still has work to finish first. The old man nods eagerly, agreeing to wait until So Moon is done. The manager thinks for a moment. This isn't really within his authority. Still, he decides to ask the boss. The old man chuckles, clearly pleased. That would be more than enough. As the manager walks away, So Moon glances back, narrowing his eyes. He quietly mutters, the old man is way too good at lying. But the old man doesn't seem bothered at all. Instead, he reassures him. There's no need to feel guilty. A harmless lie like this doesn't hurt anyone. So Moon stays silent, thinking. The old man continues. Escort agencies are always desperate for skilled people. They won't turn him away. Then he laughs to himself, confident. He's got a good feeling about this. Moments later, the manager returns in a hurry. The boss has given approval, but there's a condition. So Moon must complete his current assignment first to repay what he owes. The old man laughs, satisfied. So Moon simply thanks him quietly. Time passes. The scene shifts. A caravan moves through a snowy mountain path. Horses pull wagons across the frozen ground as travelers press forward. Among them, the old man rides along, looking far more relaxed now. He bursts out laughing, clearly enjoying himself. One of the men jokes that he's got quite the sense of humor. The old man responds playfully. He's just keeping himself entertained because things would be too boring otherwise. Meanwhile, So Moon walks nearby, completely unimpressed. He frowns slightly, thinking to himself, what exactly is so funny? Behind him, laughter continues to echo through the cold air.
High above the mountains, hidden among mist and clouds, a grand palace stands in silence. Inside, two men speak in private. One of them bursts into laughter, clearly amused. He praises his master, calling him truly extraordinary. Across from him, the other man stays quiet, slightly confused. Then the laughing man smirks and asks, does it seem strange that he's laughing just because his master escaped? The other hesitates, unsure how to respond. But the man continues, his tone shifting. He explains, there's no way someone as powerful as his master could be captured so easily. It simply wouldn't make sense. Then, more seriously, he admits that the master is the one who raised him. So, at the very least, he intends to give him a chance. But there's a problem. If the remaining supporters in the palace are still holding on, things won't stay quiet for long. He begins explaining the bigger picture. The palace itself was built by followers who admired overwhelming strength, but now, those same people have grown old, and the ones who remain want to suppress that power. The atmosphere grows heavier. Everything that had been suppressed until now is starting to erupt again. The man listening frowns slightly. You mean? The answer comes without hesitation. Whether the master lives or dies, the chaos already set in motion will continue. Plans have already been laid out, and now, nothing can stop it. He smiles faintly, almost satisfied. That's just how the world works. Then, suddenly, the scene shifts to the city. A loud voice echoes across the rooftops. Gu Yangpeng is dead. People freeze. Shock spreads instantly. What just happened? Inside a crowded tavern, the news spreads like wildfire. One man shouts in disbelief, the strongest warrior of the Orthodox faction, a man who entered the dark path at just 30, dead? No one can believe it. Another man asks the question on everyone's mind. Wait, who died?
Back in the city, rumors begin to spread like wildfire. Inside a crowded tavern, warriors gather, whispering urgently. According to official word from the Peichan Palace, a message was sent to the Dark Path factions. It claims that Gu Yangpeng died in the mountains, ambushed by masked attackers from the Blood Slasher group. But something doesn't add up. No one knows who those masked men really were. Some believe they may have actually belonged to the so-called righteous side. The evidence? The bodies left behind point in that direction, which leads to a terrifying conclusion. The Murim world might not be divided anymore. Dark and light could be working together, and if that's true, then everything is about to collapse. Elsewhere, at the Peichan Palace, rows upon rows of warriors stand in formation. Their leader steps forward, his voice echoing across the courtyard. He declares they didn't avoid war because they were afraid, and it wasn't because they were weak. No, it was because their lord chose peace over bloodshed. He wanted harmony, but now that peace has been shattered. Their lord has been insulted and killed. The leader's voice rises with fury. Now it's time for revenge. Every warrior in the palace will rise. Every blade will be drawn. No one will hold back. He raises his weapon and makes a vow, swearing with his own blood. Then he shouts the command, To battle, the army erupts. Thousands of voices roar in unison, marching forward, ready for war. For revenge, the chant echoes through the palace and beyond. And far away, another force begins to move. A blood-red banner rises into the air. The blood sect prepares for battle. Their leader grins beneath the banner, declaring that the palace has finally stepped into darkness, and now the war everyone feared has begun.
The war drums don't wait. As the sky burns orange, a cavalry unit charges forward at full speed, their leader shouting over the thunder of hoofs. Tear down the Murim alliance. They hide behind honor, but they're nothing but predators in disguise. Banners whip violently in the wind. A black flag rises, marked with a skull. From another flank, masked riders storm in, ruthless and fast. Their commander grins wildly. Even if Gu Yongpong is gone, our faction won't fall with him. His voice sharpens with pride. We are his legacy. We are his shield. The army surges as one. Then the order comes. Spread the flames of vengeance for our Lord. The response is immediate. A roar shakes the earth. Move, ride. The entire force pushes forward like a tidal wave of steel. Then, silence. Night descends. The moon hangs cold in the sky, watching. Below it, a peaceful city flickers with lantern light. Guards stand alert at the gates, unaware of what's coming. Inside, a council gathers. Tension fills the room. One elder speaks, uneasy. Who's behind this chaos? Another cuts him off, voice firm. That question doesn't matter anymore. War has already begun. A sharp-eyed representative leans forward. Our priority is survival. We need a plan, now. A rugged captain nods in agreement. There's no avoiding this fight. We prepare or we fall. Around the room, leaders from different sects begin to speak up. I'm with him. So am I. We stand together. But not everyone is convinced. An old monk frowns, deep in thought. Doesn't this feel strange? Why would this happen in his own homeland? Another man narrows his eyes. I'm not even sure he's truly dead. The room stills. Then who could have taken him down? The monk exhales slowly. Whether he lives or dies, it doesn't change what comes next. His voice grows heavy. They'll come for Zhang Yuan, not for justice, but under the excuse of revenge. A strategist calmly adds, the dark factions are already gathering in Patchan. Silence. Then, resolute. One man grips his cup tightly, eyes burning. Then we decide, right here, right now. A final voice echoes through the chamber. We act before they do. Outside, the night remains calm, but the storm is already moving.